morning, hello, and welcome to an impromptu live stream from us. But big news coming out of Aston Villa today. Massive, to be fair, absolutely huge because, when you having some stuff like a whole new stand and, it's just there for a very long time, isn't it? And it's just massive and I absolutely can't wait for it. Justin, how are you?
Excellent news. We know this was in the pipeline, but to have it signed and sealed now is just amazing. And the stuff Villa have put it out in the last half an hour. If you can't get excited about this, it's on the pitch stuff is one thing, but the stadium, iconic stadium, and the fact that they are, they're developing it like this. I know we're going to get into the details, but I'm so excited. I think I'm as excited for the stadium rebuild as I am for a top signing coming in, like a £50 million signing, because it's forever, isn't it? It's absolutely forever.
Yeah,
It's not for a few years. It's this will be here for my lifetime, and I can't wait.
and the reason behind it is very important as well. There's different subplots to the reason of why we are doing it, but one thing I'd like to touch on, is NSWE and their ambition. You can't fault it. It's absolutely huge. It's one thing wanting to have on-field ambition, wanting the club to get back into Europe, to have different aspirations, but to actually want to make the stadium a world-class venue just excites the hell out of me. I absolutely love it. And they are wanting to give us, the fans, a better experience. And that's great as well, to improve the experience of fans that come to Aston Villa. I think, that's massive as well. And I think that needs, touching on because it's huge. I mean, what do you make of NSWE's input into this?
Well, it's like you say, it's massive, investment on the pitch is obviously critically important. At the end of the day, we're a football club, and what happens on the pitch directly correlates to what happens off the pitch. So if you're successful on the pitch, then things can motor off the pitch. So they have to sort of go hand in hand, don't they? So it was right that they sort of put this off until we were stabilised, first of all, back in the Premier League, obviously, which we managed to do in the first season under them. And then we had obviously a rough season the first season back, but we stayed up, which was looking now at where we are now and what they're planning on. That staying up that season was absolutely imperative to what happens from then onwards. And we've had a couple of up and down seasons since, but we're sort of pushing on now. But the new era begins now. I think the stabilisation is finished. I know we've had a ropey start to this season, but I think with the new manager coming in, I think the stabilisation period is finished now, and I think we're now moving on to just improvements and pushing on. And top half of the table is obviously now very important. But the stadium has to keep pace with what's going on the pitch. We've seen huge investment in players. The quality of the squad's improved massively, and it's going to improve again. I think there'll be another level of that, hopefully, over the next 2 or 3 years. But it's all pointless if you haven't got a stadium that matches your aspirations on the pitch, and that's where this comes in. Weirdly, I've got this picture behind me of old Villa Park. Now that's the stadium I remember as a kid. So you got the old Witten Lane stand there, which was tiny, the Holt End, which was standing, and then the Trinity Road, which was the old, lovely, marble sort of effect stands. But the only stand out of that from that stadium that's still there today is the North Stand. So that just shows you how long it's been and how needed this upgrade is. All three of those stands have been upgraded, but the only one hasn't been the North Stand. So it was the obvious one to do. It's one that's got the most land behind it. And when you factor in that car park over the road for the away coaches as well, and then past that, where they're building the academy, which I was gobsmacked about actually when I parked there the other day to walk past that, how quickly that's gone up and how huge that is. That's a massive building. If people haven't been down, the people that go to Boxing Day and to the Wolves games, they'll be really, if they just wander down there, they can see how quickly this has gone up. So they're not hanging about. And then I know we're going to show the video in a minute, but that walk through from there up to Villa Park and that new area of like sort of people milling around, it's going to be phenomenal. It's a game changing, massive,
on so many
massive improvement.
levels. It's a game changer for fans on a match day. If you have hospitality, it's gone up tenfold. If you struggle to get out of Villa Park on the trains, that's going to be addressed. If you want to have more of an enjoyable time at that Villa Live, you will be able to. The local economy is going to improve massively as well. So let's have a look at the statement and then we'll go and have a look at the video then. So let's have a look at what he's going to improve then. So the project will increase Aston Villa stadium capacity to over 50,000. It's in turn going to enable us to be, and I think, be one of the stadiums at Euro 2028. So it will enable us to fill into the certain criterias which we currently aren't able to host those types of games. They are increasing the train station at Witton as well, so that's going to improve. And that's been one of the most vital aspects for sort of like the council and stuff.
I think just while we're on that point, I think that the transport links. I went to a meeting with Purslow earlier in the year, and that was critical for this project. Pushing the transport links to improve around Villa is so important, and he's managed to get, regardless of what you think of him as on the footballing side, he's a phenomenal bloke to push like a project like this forward. I think he's ideal, and his connections and what he's done off the pitch, it's massive. The problems getting in and out of Villa Park are such a nightmare, but when an improved and increased capacity, it's obviously had to be addressed. But I think what they're going to do there will help massively on match days.
Yeah, this is a big point as well. The redevelopment of Villa Park will contribute to an estimated 119.9 million to the West Midlands economy each year, creating hundreds of jobs during and post-construction and attracting 1.65 million visitors to the local area annually.
Sorry to cut over you again. On that point as well, I think it's also critically important as a fan base. We go to Villa Park. I live half an hour drive away. As a lot of people do live within sort of half an hour drive from Villa Park ish, maximum. That we travel to Villa Park 20-ish times a season. So we go there 20 times a year. What's very important for that area is that it redevelops the area for the people that live there. And that's huge for me because it is got deprived parts around there, Aston and around there. So I think what the club are doing is improving the area for people that actually live within the boundaries of Villa Park, that have to live there day in, day out, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, they live around there. So to improve it for them as well is as important as improving it for us that just borrow it, if you like, for 20 times a year, because we do, people that live there, it's a nightmare for them, isn't it, on match days? The roads get snarled up, if you live in the areas where everyone parks. So I think to help relieve that pressure from them as well is a good thing as well for me.
Yeah, Purslow goes on to say, this is great news, firstly, for our fans, many of whom are on the waiting list for season tickets. Secondly, the club itself, as our long-term competitive strategy depends on continued growth. And finally, for our city and region, with the prospect of redevelopment of Villa Park, driving economic regeneration in our local community and bringing back international football to Aston Villa. So like Justin said, it's important that Villa Park matches the ambition of everything else that we're trying to do. And it's just massive. I absolutely love it. And I just like, okay, when you go to away games and you're there a couple of hours before, and the amount of people are there that are at Old Trafford, and I just think we tend to have that type of vibe as well. Just a place where people can go before games, that they can go when the games aren't even on, and everything that has been said in that sort of article there, I think it is spot on, and it's a lot of stuff is what Villa fans have been saying, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, massive.
the transport that's being looked at, because at the minute there's fundamental problems there. We've got fans on waiting lists that can't get to the games, that would love to get to the games. So I think hand in hand, it's just going to work better for everybody, which is just absolutely massive. So
I think obviously it's a stand, so whoever sits in that stand eventually, I might actually my first ever season ticket was North Stand. I might actually go back there. I think because the top tier was always a brilliant view. So the fundamental idea of the stand obviously is to see the game and have more people in. Fantastic. But the one thing I'm really looking forward to is the Villa Live building. I think it's a game changer, because if you're lucky enough to go into hospitality, which I've done a few times, not many times, into a box, you get to the ground a couple of hours before the game. You're sitting in comfort. You're having a drink. You're having a chat. The build up. You're around Villa fans, so you got all this thing. So, but that Villa Live building is going to almost allow us fans that just sit in normal seats to have that opportunity to get there a couple of hours before into a building that's going to house a lot of people indoors, and that atmosphere. Everybody that goes to Wembley, that's ever been to the box park at Wembley on a match day and a cup final, the atmosphere it creates. Can you imagine that on a match day? Let's say Boxing Day. Let's say the ground's done and we're going on Boxing Day, and you've got a couple of thousand people getting there 2 hours early, having a drink, the singing, the atmosphere. It's going to be before you've even got into the ground, which might actually lead to the atmosphere within the ground becoming a bit better.
I was just thinking that when you were saying that. I think
it's because there has been a problem, hasn't there, with atmosphere within the stadium. So if you've got that, a couple of, I'm not saying people are going to get, which you will have a few idiots, obviously, but the overall atmosphere in that Villa Live is going to be phenomenal, and with the shop and everything, it's just game changing, honestly.
I think it's important we touch on this, because it does get mentioned by the people that do sit there. It's C4 or C5 or C5 and C6 who sit in the Trinity, and it's been spoken about that they're potentially going to have to move seats because of hospitality going there. But my point, what I would try and like to make about that is, Villa seem to be looking at every certain scenario and making things better and thinking about everything. So I would imagine that there's a plan for those people that sit in those seats. What are your thoughts on that, Justin?
Yeah, it's a very tricky one, because again, I've had a season ticket there. I used to sit there with my brother right behind the dugouts, and if I'd have carried on sitting where I did, then I would be in that exact position now. And if it's somewhere you've sat, we all get very attached to our seats in the ground, don't we? That's our seat in our stadium that we love. So to be potentially being told you have to move is going to be very, very difficult sell from the club. It's going to annoy a lot of people. But unfortunately, this is progress. This is, it's easy for me to say. People say, it's easy for you to say you're not sitting there. But I think you have to sometimes take a step back and look at the bigger picture, and they're not a bit like when the new badges was come out, a bit like when the kits come out every year. You cannot please everybody, but overall, in say 5 years' time, as a fan base, we are going to have a phenomenal stadium, an absolute eye-catching. But so the last thing I was going to say was, you at least for all the people that potentially are going to be displaced and have to move, just think a lot of clubs like Everton and they actually move stadiums. So you lose. For me, I would rather stay at Villa Park and redevelop it. If it means moving to a slightly different place within the stadium, fine. At least we're not moving the whole stadium, which I would hate.
Yeah, me too. Right, should we have a look?
Do it.
Let's go. So this is what Aston Villa, well, Villa Park is going to look like.
Can you pause it
Yeah.
or not? That bit there, when we then go up, that there is it's like our very own Wembley Way,
Yeah, I
isn't it?
thought that when I seen it.
It's like we're gonna on a match day. You can imagine just I sometimes park this end where you walk up there, or I park the other side. So I think I might start parking back just to walk up there and have this vision of walking under the train tracks and then up and when it opens out to the Villa Live. And could you imagine it on a summer's day there? Look at that walking up and that stand is
It's
massive, isn't it?
massive, man. It is huge.
You think how big the Doug Ellis stand is, and it dwarfs the Doug Ellis stand. It's going to be the real iconic part of the stadium. I love the glass front on that as well. And this is obviously coming down the road. So that Villa Live building is going to dominate, and the shop is going to be amazing. I mean, the club shop's okay now, but it's not fit for purpose. It's just not. I was lucky enough to work in the old club shop, which was tiny. So when they built this one now, it was brilliant. But even now, this is not fit for purpose. On a match day, you're crammed. But it looks like there's going to be 2 stories.
That for me. Here we
This
go.
is the one.
Look at the size of it, man. It's huge.
It's just stunning. It's stunning. The architecture is well involved, and from the top. Night games are something special at Villa
That's a
Park anyway.
Champions
But
League game, innit, Justin? Fireworks.
this is what I'm saying. You imagine European nights, 50,000 Villa fans, something we could only dream of. I don't know. You've just got to be so excited for the next. We've had 10 shit years at Villa, haven't we? Let's be right. We've had some ropey years since O'Neill left, and we've just got to be so pleased that we're in the position we're currently in, with what's coming over the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, look at that, where the kids can play, seating. It's just stunning. We just got to thank our owners for being fantastic owners. Honestly, we have.
That's the one. I just think it looks beautiful, man. Look,
from the top.
even this overhead here, that's the north stand. That's the Holt end.
I know. It dwarfs the Holt. It absolutely dwarfs it. More than a stadium, it certainly is. It certainly is. It's our church, isn't it?
Yeah, I just think it's super, super exciting. And it's just going to be fantastic to see it going up and everything like that, isn't it? So,
well, it's a revenue generator as well. That's the other thing that, we spoke to Dave, who, he's been on the pod, and, look about the finances of Villa over the next few years. And one of the most important things is generating our own revenue. It's all well and good. We've got NSWE who have got very, very deep pockets, and they're not afraid to dip into them. But ultimately, we have to be self-sustaining to a point, and because you never know what will happen in the future. You never know, if they sell us to somebody else, and with all the best will in the world, you don't know what you're getting if you get sold. There's the good owners, there's bad owners. We've had our fair share of bad owners since Doug Ellis. So we have to be self-sufficient, and the way to do that is improve match day revenue. So I'm saying Villa Live, if you're dragging people in 2 hours before the game and they're staying at least an hour after the game for a drink, if we, again, let's just imagine we've got this stadium now. We're going against Liverpool Boxing Day. Everyone's getting there a couple of hours before. We go and beat Liverpool. Nobody wants to go home, do they? You want to go and have a, let's go and have a pint after the game at Villa Live with 2,000 Villa fans singing their heads off. Another hour's worth of atmosphere. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want that? Match day, club shop. I don't know. I'm just, as you can tell, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. So, yeah, so we do a bit of an impromptu live. We've got our predicted lineup coming out at 5 o'clock today. But a little bit of news then, a little bit of team news. We still don't know confirmed when Martinez is coming back. Olsen has got a slight knock, so he didn't play yesterday in the game against Everton. I think, was it Marshall that started in
Yeah.
goal? So this is a bit of a worry for me. This goalkeeper situation. What are your thoughts, Justin?
I think my best guess is that Olsen will be okay.
Mm.
That's why he didn't play yesterday, because he's going to have to play against Liverpool. He hasn't filled us with a lot of confidence, although he's had moments when he's pulled off a few decent saves. He's obviously not Emi Martinez, but there isn't many world number one best goalkeepers knocking about, is there? Unfortunately, Jed Steer's not ready, I don't think, and the kids. It's going to be hard to put a kid in against Liverpool at
Yeah.
home. So I think we've just got to back Olsen. As a fan base, these things happen. I do not begrudge Emi Martinez for 1 second not being back for the
No,
Liverpool
never
game.
do I.
As much as we all want him to play, I don't begrudge
I
him
just
at all.
think, having watched the videos of him, I don't think he's in any fit state to
I
come
don't think
and
he's going
play
to be
on
sober
Boxing
for about
Day.
2 weeks, to be fair.
He's
So
not in any. He needs about 2 weeks to get over this hangover.
I think Liverpool's my best bet for him coming back. I think he'll
Oh,
miss
I mean,
the 4th of Jan. I think that's 2 weeks away, isn't it? So I think Liverpool game's out. I think hopefully we won't need him we wouldn't need him for the FA Cup game. So then the next big game is Wolves under the lights, isn't it, on the Wednesday night, which I think would be a great game for him to come back into, because imagine him walking out for the warm up and the reception he's going to get from the whole tent. It's going to be buzzing. So that'll be another little booster for us on that night, because we all know what happened last year against Wolves. We owe them one massively. So my best bet is going to be back I think he'll be back in the country probably just after Christmas. I presume. I don't know. He might come back and spend Christmas in England. I don't know. Nobody knows, and nothing's confirmed yet. Or he might stay in Argentina.
well,
I presume he's got
his
property
dad's
there.
not well, is he?
I think his dad's had up and down health, hasn't he?
So I think
so he might. Yeah. So he might
I
stay in
think he'd want to
Argentina.
stay for that.
Yeah, which is fine. With his wife and his kids and his mum and dad. Maybe stay in Argentina, enjoy Christmas, get over, what's happened, get his head right, and then probably come back at some point next week into training with the World Cup hopefully under his arm, and then be sort of ready then for the Wolves game on the 4th.
Yeah. And right then, before we go, we had a few comments yesterday saying, "Oh, we lost to Everton. This isn't good. I'm not happy about this." What's your take on that?
I'm not bothered at all. I think it was behind closed doors friendly, designed to get some minutes into him. I mean, we went to the Villarreal game and we were really good first half in that game, and it fell apart after we made 10 substitutions like they always do, and we lost 1-0 to a mistake. The only game that matters is Liverpool, isn't it? And I think we'll be massively up for that game. The first 11 will be out barring Martinez, sold out Villa Park. Everyone will be pumped for it. The players will be absolutely buzzing to get playing again, and the fact it's Liverpool at home, you can't get a better game than that, I don't think, to come back for and to be up for. The manager's going to have them ready. We know what he's like. He'll have them drilled. They'll all know exactly what their jobs are. There might be a bit of rustiness, but that'll go for Liverpool as well. We're all in the same position. We're all playing, although they are playing tonight, aren't they, Liverpool, which is interesting. So it'll be interesting to see how strong they go tonight. So yeah, I'm not fussed. We'll take it as it comes on Sunday.
Yeah, right. Really exciting. Can't wait for it. We've got our predicted lineup, which is out at 5 o'clock today. So be sure to go and check that one out. Let's see if we can get it right. But yeah, just thought I'd just come on, see what your thoughts are all saying. And yeah, have a nice little look at the new stand that we're going to be having. So cheers, everybody that's been joining us. And all have a very good Christmas as well. And speak to you all soon.
Yes, Merry Christmas to everybody, and have a great one. And see you all at Villa Park on Monday.
Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.